Solve for x. Negative 25 hundredths times x minus 10 equals negative 11. So let's rewrite this problem right here. We have negative 25 hundredths divided by x minus 10 equals negative 11. Well, one way we could solve this is that we could actually divide each side by negative 25 hundredths. In doing so, this side of the equation becomes x minus 10 because this cancels each other out. This essentially becomes 1 over 1. And then on the right side of the equation, we just have to compute that. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 11 divided by 25 hundredths is equal to 44. So we could have x minus 10 equals 44, and now just add 10 to each side. X equals 54. A second way we can solve it is like this. Here's our equation, and so now we can distribute. We have negative 25 hundredths, multiply that by x, minus a negative 25 hundredths multiplied by 10 equals negative 11. So this is still going to be negative 25x, and then negative 25 hundredths multiplied by 10, that's going to be equal to a negative 2 5/10 equals negative 11. Well, as we work through this problem, we're going to focusing on subtracting a negative number. We know that subtracting a negative number is the same thing as adding the opposite. We still have this negative 25 hundredths x, but this time when we subtract a negative number, that's the same thing as adding its opposite. And in this case, we're going to be adding a positive 2 5/10, and that's going to be equal to negative 11. So now we'll subtract negative 2 5/10 from each side. Again, we're trying to isolate x or get x by itself. This part right here becomes 0. We designed it that way. And on the right, we said negative 11 minus 2.5. That's going to be negative 13.5. And we still have this negative 25 hundredths x on the left side. So we're going to rewrite this as negative 25 hundredths x equals negative 13.5. Now we can divide each side by negative 25 hundredths. And so this right here, this cross cancels, and this essentially becomes 1 over 1, and a negative divided by negative is a positive. So we're left over with x over here. We have 1x, and then negative 13.5 divided by negative 0.25. That's right. A negative divided by negative is a positive, and so we ended up with a positive 54. So two ways that we can solve this problem to get x equals 54.